Hi, in this tutorial I'll talk about how to write a event handler for checkbox change event for a AEM component dialog field. This is the continuation tutorial to the previous one where I'm explaining the event handling of AEM component dialog fields. As part of this tutorial, I'll talk about checkbox checkbox change event, where on change event we'll hide and show tabs and other containers. So what I'll cover as part of this tutorial, so we will be having 8 checkboxes. Based on checkbox we'll show container and tabs, right? So there are 4 container inside first tab, and this checkbox is also in the first tab. Other we have 4 tabs, so we will hide and show these containers and tab based on checkbox check event. But there is a fundamental difference if you compare drop down, radio button and checkboxes. In drop down and radio button you could choose only one value at a time, means you could check or select one item at a time, so that one field, means one container or the tab which is associated to that item will be visible, rest of other containers or tabs will be hidden. But that's not the case for checkboxes. In checkbox you can check multiple checkboxes. So the fundamental difference is, as part of this tutorial what we'll cover, let's say you checkbox 2 checkboxes. So the field, means the container or the tab associated to that item will be shown, rest of the tabs or container will be hidden. So that's the use case we are going to follow here. Okay, now what are we going to do to achieve this? First, as the previous tutorials, we'll follow the same approach, right? First, what we'll do, so we have 4 container, author 1 to author 4, and we have 4 tabs, author 5 to author 8. There is additional tab, first tab, where all these 4 container and these checkboxes are present. So what we'll do, first we'll add a class CQ dialog -checkbox show hide to our checkboxes. Then we'll add a data item or the data attribute called CQ dialog checkbox show hide target value, and I will give some value, right? I can give any value to it. Now we are done with the checkboxes. Now we'll add a class hide class and checkbox show hide target class, right? 2 classes, hide to hide this container or tabs, and another class. Using this class we'll find these items, means we'll find these fields, right? Another data element we added called data -show hide checkbox value. You can add any name here, right? We'll use these names in our handler, event handler. So these values should be binded to the values of my checkboxes. Let's say if I say value is author 1, this value should be binded to here. In drop down or not drop down, in tab, if I say this tab 5th author value 5, so this should be binded to this checkbox value, so that we can make it generic. We can reuse this script or handler to any other fields as well, means any other dialog field if we have the same kind of scenario. Now, as I say always, these value can be anything. You can add anything here, but whatever you add, that you should use in your event handler. If you check here, I use this show hide value is this, so this should be matched with this what I am adding in all other tabs. So this should match, right? So that I can write a generic event handler. Instead, I can keep writing for every other dialog. I'll make a generic whenever I need. I'll add these values to my fields, and the same event handler will work for everywhere, right? So now let's see how to build dialog and how to write a event handler to it. I will write on the similar note what I have already written for past 2 or 3 tutorials. Okay, so you will see I added a well just to add a background and hold my checkboxes, and here I added 8 checkboxes here. You will see the resource type 8 my checkbox, text value, text and value, and I added a class as I mentioned here. If you will see here, this class granite colon class, and this class I use here. Same class I will use in my event handler. Now if I go to my this granite.data node, if you want to add any data element, you have to create this node as a child node and you can add those here. So if you see here now, this CQ hyphen dialog hyphen checkbox, whatever you added here, that will be added after your data. Let's say data hyphen and whatever you added there. So that will be added as my data element in my HTML element, right, which will be created for this checkbox, and the value is whatever I want to mention here. This value will be used to find my target elements, means my target either tab or containers, right. So the same thing I have done for all these checkboxes. You see the value and these two. Now this I'm done with my checkboxes. Now let's see the container. First let's see the container which are there in my same tab. If you open, this is my tab and I am adding this 5 tabs here, right, these one. So these containers are in my same tab. So what I do here, I would say class and this hide class as well as whatever checkbox show hide target. This is the same what I given in my target in my checkbox. Okay, now in granite.data I added show hide checkbox value. You can name it anything, right, but it should be same. You should use the same thing in your script or event handler. This value should be matched to my checkbox value. That same way I have added. Now for the tabs also I added the same two classes, hide and checkbox target, right. In granite data you will see the same show hide checkbox value, but I added a additional property called is tab, additional data elements, right. So what happened in this HTML, when this tab will be generated inside this container, it will have data hyphen is tab is equal to true. Why I'm adding it? Because I'm having both containers and tabs. So I want to identify which one is, means both will be container, right. I have already explained in one of the tab related tutorial how this tab is built, right. So to identify whether this container belongs to tab or it's individual container, so I use this property to identify that in my script, right, because we are handling a complex scenario where we have the combination of normal container or container inside tab, right. So my dialog is done now. Now let's say how to write a script here. Okay, now let's see the script, event handler script. So what we have here, if you see the first line, this is old line where we are finding the checkboxes using this class we added for the checkboxes. Using this we identify all the checkboxes which has this class, right. You see the each, I'm iterating over here. Now inside this tab means element, I'm finding a data element and this is my data element. It will get the value of my data element. This will actually a class because I added as a dot this. So what I'm saying here, I identify this. Now this coral, this is the coral specific API available like we have in jQuery event handler. Let's say document.load, same kind of stuff we have in coral APIs, the coral common ready. So this will be triggered when, means this will be load when my component is ready, means when my dialog is ready, right. So what is happening now, then I'm calling a method. If you see here, hide show checkbox. Inside I'm passing the element, means component is basically my checkbox, and the target means whatever the class name, and initially I'm passing null here because initially I'm not loading anything. If you want to load, means show hide something on the dialog open, you can pass this value. So what happened? The same way here as well. So what I'm saying, component dot on change means checkbox on change. So I'm handling change event here and I'm passing, again I'm calling this show hide checkbox where I'm passing the container, this component target value, and here I'm passing the value here. What is the this value? And along with this value, you will see this is the value here, but I'm passing whether it's a checked or not, right? It may be checked or it may be unchecked. So that value I'm getting here, whether it's a checked, it will be true, or if it's unchecked, it will false. So this will give you checked or unchecked. So these two parameters are important. If you compare with the previous tutorial, what we have already covered with drop down and radio buttons, we were not sending check this value, but here it is necessary because we want to know which one is checked and which one is not checked, because we will show multiple items based on the checkboxes. Now let's say what is happening here, that is important. So what we are doing, we pass the target value. This is a target, this basically this is the name of class. So what we are saying, find each element in HTML, we say element which has this class. So there will be 8, right, as we mentioned, but we identify whether those are for the tab or the normal container. I have already explained tab, right? If we are in tab, so we get this data or is tab, right? If we found this, that means it's under the tab. If we don't, that means this is not related to tab. This is a normal container which I showed you. Based on this, we'll call a different method. One method is for hide and show my normal container which are in same class, right? And for the others, if you check here for different method, if it is a tab, right, to handle this. Now why this? So that you can reuse these methods if you want to have individual use case, right? Because we are making it more complex combination, that's why I wrote a modular code and the method, right? You can use as per your need, right? Now let's say what is happening. This is straightforward. Whenever we found any element, right, any element which is not tab, so we'll find this value, right, and we are getting the value from upper when we call it checked value. So when these values are matched, show that, right, when these values are matched, and if it is checked, both conditions met, then we remove the hide class, right? We remove the hide class, so it will be visible. If it is not the case, even if has value but it is unchecked, right, unchecked case, we are adding the means hide class, so it will be hidden. Now tabs are important. I have already explained. I'm more focusing on this tab in every tutorial because you need to understand how this tab is getting built. If you understood this, then you can handle this kind of scenario, right? Now let me open parallel tab so that you can understand what's happening here. Okay, so what happened when tab is created? Tab contain under this view. If you see the coral view, tab is part of coral view. What happened? This coral view, let me move it a bit here so that you can understand. Coral-tab view. This is parent element of your tab and it contains two parallel elements. One is my coral-tablist and another one is coral panel stack. Panel stack is here. Okay, let me close this once. Panel stack. So that's combining these two, we create tab in Dialog, right? So all my tabs means this, if you see the strip are under this tab list where it is, and actual items contain under my panel stack, right? So if you open this, let me choose this one so that you can understand, but we added containers. So where my containers are, if you open, let me open the panel. So what happened? My target is my class. So what happened? This will execute every time for each checkbox. So what happened? It will go here and find this target. So my target is my target class. So I identify this element. Now what is happening? This is under panel, and these panels are, each panel is for one tab elements. So what happened? What I'm saying, find closest to this. So closest this, I found this. Now what I'm saying, find the sibling of it, which is a tab list. So I identify this and this, right, these two. But what I'm saying, I found this, that's okay. And if you see, this is actually which is hide and show, which is inside it, inside tab. So it will hide but not this upper one. So I have to establish a relation between this tab and whatever the tab. If you see the tab list, this I have already explained in detail in tab related tutorial. Please go back and check there so that you can understand what is happening there. So what I'm saying here, okay, iterate this, iterate all the panels, core panels under panel stack, right? I'm each iterating one by one, all these, right? You see this one, let me drag a bit. First one, this all, right? I have 5 basically. So one is for this, right? But we will skip that. So what I'm saying, okay, I start iterating. Now what? Find a div with this value, right? Go here, open this. Let me open the chosen one. Open there and go here and find this value, right? I identify this value. Now I got this value, right? And value is author 5. So what happened? What I'm saying now, first I'm checking whether it's a null or not. This is simple, just to avoid any error, I'm checking it. That's all right. Now what I'm saying, if value which is coming from when I call this method and the value which I identify are same, and this is a checked value, if this is checked, then select this, add a select and show, remove this hide class, right? So it will be visible, but I identify this, only the container. I need to disable or hide or show this one as well. See what is written here. So I need to establish a relation which from the tab title as well. So how it will happen? I go here inside this, okay, I went there in Coral panel, you will see here this labeled by, right, and get the value of this area hyphen labeled by. You will see here I found this. Now what I'm saying, go there, go to the tab list, find a children where id is equal to this. When it creating a this kind of filter, what it is creating, coral hyphen id hyphen 4. So you must go here and find a tab where tab id is equal to this one. So it will identify this, right? So it will saying when you identify this, remove class for this as well. So what happened, it will remove hide class from here. Let me show you here and here, both ways. So both tab and this will be visible, right? In other case it will be hidden, right? You see, in case it will be hidden, but you will see one more condition here. This is happening for each checkbox, right? So there's a one more condition, checked and unchecked. That's why we are using it. If it is checked, so it will, you know, keep showing for multiples, right? If it is unchecked, then it will keep hiding it. So it will not select only once, it will run for each and every check, right? So this is how it's working. Now let me close this and let me show you how it's working. Open this, let me refresh this once. Okay, let me close this as well, refresh, open. So what should happen now? Initially nothing is checked, everything is hidden. So when I open check this, see the checkbox. This is the first container which is in same tab, right? You see the inside same author tab. Choose second, choose third, all are visible. Let's say if I uncheck first, so first will be hidden and author 2 and author 3 will be visible, right? So it is happening check and uncheck. So if I say author 5 is a tab, so if I choose this, if I select this, this tab should be visible. See this now. If I let's say 8, so 8th tab should be visible, and if I uncheck now, it should be hidden. Let's say I have, okay, so let me uncheck this. See, unchecking all this, now it's hidden, right? Hide and show is working properly. I hope you understood. If you have any question, add your comment. Thank you.